So Cloudways sent out this email about PHP versions expiring. I've gotten a few emails from clients going, what the heck do I do with this? So I thought I would explain. Okay, so you got this email from Cloudways, you're a Cloudways client, and it says notice of PHP versions deprecation and EOL date. That is a that's a mouthful, okay? And if you're never really thought about the version of PHP that your server runs, you are like most people, okay? And so I had a couple of emails from some clients and they're like, what the hell do I do with this? Okay, so I thought I would explain. It's actually pretty simple. PHP is the programming language that your server is running, and it's what WordPress is programmed in, all of your themes, all of your plugins, okay? So PHP is a programming language, and your server is set up to run that. But like any piece of software, PHP has versions, just like Windows has versions or Mac OS has versions. And at a certain point, they just stop supporting it, okay? Like if you're, God help you, or still have a PC running Windows 95, you kind of know you're not going to get any help from Microsoft ever again. They just don't deal with it. Well, PHP does the same thing, okay? So eventually, a version of PHP just sort of kind of gets old, and they're not going to issue any security releases for it anymore, okay? And so that is what has happened, okay? PHP version 5.6, version 7, they kind of skipped 6, okay? So version 7, 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3, they're no longer going to support it, okay? And because there's going to be no more security releases or any of that for it, Cloudways, for the purposes of giving a good, secure hosting environment, has decided not to offer it anymore, okay? And so if you have a server that you've had for a little bit of time on Cloudways and you are running an earlier version of PHP, anything early, like 7.3 or earlier, you're going to have to upgrade. Now, it's not that big of a deal, really. If you upgrade to 7.4, chances are you're not going to notice any difference whatsoever, okay, in most cases. Now, if you do upgrade to PHP version 8, you might notice a little bit of a difference. I did. I tested the Blog Marketing Academy itself, and I have some issues with PHP 8. So I'm on 7.4, site runs fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where to look inside of your Cloudways account and what to do about it. It's really not that big of a deal. And again, if you're a support client of mine or a hosting client, I'll do it for you, okay? If you are not an ongoing client of mine, you can get a service credit on your account. I'll be happy to pop in there and do it for you as well. But let me show you what we're doing here. Okay, so when you're inside your Cloudways account, you're going to have your servers listed here. Now, good chance you're probably only are going to have one, okay? So I'm going to go in and click on this one here. Okay, and then now we're looking at the settings for the actual server. You want to now go to your settings and packages, and then you want to go to packages, okay? Now, this first option is going to tell you what you need to know. Now, good chance for many of you, you may be running version PHP 7.3, okay? And if that's the case, you're going to need to upgrade it. Now, if you click this little button, you can upgrade pretty quickly. I can go to 7.4, 8.0, or version 8.1 of PHP. Now, if you're on version 7.3 of PHP, pretty good chance you can upgrade to 7.4 right away and you're not going to notice any difference whatsoever. Now, if you're going to go do a major version change up to version 8, you definitely want to test it out. And in fact, either way, you probably want to test this out first, but definitely if you're going from version 7 to 8, I would recommend that you test it out and just make sure your sites are not going to give you a big pile of errors, because it is possible when you upgrade your version of PHP. So this is how you upgrade. If you just select the version, hit save, you'll have to wait a couple minutes while it chugs, and then you will be done. Okay, so now how do you go about testing this? If you actually upgrade this and save it, it's going to upgrade your main server, okay? And it's a server-wide thing, which means if you have multiple sites on the same server on Cloudways, it's going to upgrade everything at the same time, okay? And so the only way that you can test this is to create an entirely different server and test it out there. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do that. First of all, you can clone your server, you just hit this little button, the little, dots here, and you can clone server, okay? And it will ask you, do you want to clone it, blah, blah, blah. You would obviously confirm that. And it will literally create a copy of your entire server and every website on it. And then you can go and change the version of PHP on that new testing server, and then you can go and check out those sites and make sure that you're not getting any errors, okay? Now, the other option that you can do is to go and create a new server, okay? Select your application. We're going to be setting up a blank one. Just give it like test. It doesn't really matter because we're not going to be keeping this very long. Test server. And then you could put it anywhere you want. Probably just go ahead and keep the same provider you're using before, which for me would be Vulture and a high frequency account. I'm using a 4 gig server, but it doesn't really matter. You're just creating something to test it with, okay? Now, the big thing here is that you might be going, well, isn't this going to increase my bill to add a whole nother server to my account? And no, it's not, because we're only going to test the sites, make sure they work, and then once we know that they work, we're going to delete the server, okay? And then you're not going to get billed for it. You're probably only going to have the server on your account for like a half an hour, okay? Maybe not even that long. And then, so long as you delete it, you're absolutely good to go and it won't be any problem. And that's what I did. I actually cloned the BMA server, and the server's gone now. I've already deleted it, but I cloned that server, and then I went and I tested all of my various applications. Now, I have a few different websites on this server, including some of my hobby sites that are running Thrive themes and stuff like that. And all those sites worked. No problem with version PHP 8. However, the Blog Marketing Academy was throwing me errors with PHP version 8, okay? And so just for the sake of time, I went ahead and just left it with version 7.4, which is not going to reach end of life on Cloudways. You'll be fine running PHP 7.4. And in fact, you may even see a little performance increase on your site by moving from one of the earlier versions up to 7.4, because it actually is a faster version of PHP. And that would be that. Okay, so that's the gist. Now, this email went out on August 16th, 2022, which is the date of deprecation, which basically means that any new server that you create on Cloudways, you're not going to even have the option to choose those old versions of PHP. It's going to be 7.4 onward. Now, if your server is already using one of those earlier versions, then basically you have an end of life date of February 28, 2023. So you got a little bit of time left. However, might as well get this done, right? So you don't have to think about it anymore. So the end of life means that you will not be able to use those versions. They're basically going to upgrade you whether you like it or not, if you haven't already done so on the date. And your site will either work or it will not work. I think it's best that we do this before February 8th again of 2023, so that we don't have to worry about those things, okay? So it's pretty easy to do. Like I said, chances are your site will work fine. Even the software that I'm using on Blog Marketing Academy, it should already all be PHP 8 compatible, so I got to go find out what was throwing the error and why I was getting one. But WordPress is PHP 8 compatible. Most themes and plugins are, because PHP version 8's been out for over 2 years now, so it's not like this is new. So it's sort of time for us to get with the times if we're still using these older versions. Okay, so again, if you are a hosting or support client of mine, get in touch with me. I will do this for you. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, I'll deal with testing it out. We'll clone your server. We'll test it, make sure everything is good, and then I will upgrade you to the highest available version that your site is running fine on. Chances are it'll be version 8. Now, if you are a Cloudways customer, but you are not a client of mine, just make sure you get at least one service credit on your account. It will not take any more than that. And then hit me up, submit a tech service request, and I will still do it for you. Or take a stab at it yourself. It's not very hard. As you can see, you're basically just going to clone your server, okay? And then you're going to have these weird Cloudways URLs versions of your site. Open them up, make sure the sites are running okay, and that and then if they are, go to your main server, and upgrade that version of PHP. It's not very hard to do, but if you want me to do it, I will. All right, talk to you soon.